So I always get in the mood to crochet in the summer, even more a lot of the times than in like the colder months. What's that about? And I was also taking care of a family member after they had surgery. So I was doing a lot of just like sitting and not wanting to wake up the other person that needed to sleep in the living room. This ended up being a perfect storm where I got a ton of crocheting done in the month of June. I have a good amount of like backlog basically of yarn that I've bought in order to do a project and then just have not done it. I also have a lot of leftover yarn from projects that I just didn't know what to do with. So this past month I went on to Pinterest, scrolled through my saved posts, and I took inspiration from that to make a few crochet projects. And on top of that, every tutorial that I found was free, so I'll be linking all of them in the description below. This video is gonna be a lot more, I suppose, like casual than my average video. I always feel like my videos are relatively laid back, but I tend to put a lot of focus on like good lighting, good shots, making sure that everything looks nice. And I didn't do that as much in this video because I was crocheting, and while I was crocheting, I just thought, why not bring you guys along? Because what else am I doing this month? So you're gonna see a lot of me in sweats and in the same corner of the same room. All right, let me show you what I crocheted this month. Okay, so first up, I bought these yarns last year with every intention of making these adorable crochet pie purses I was seeing everywhere on Pinterest last year. But then last year I ended up undertaking a pretty huge crochet matching set project and just never got around to it. So we're finally doing it now. So since I bought blue, I definitely wanted this to look like blueberry pie, even though blueberry pie is technically more purple than blue, but whatever. And I wanted this to look like there were individual blueberries in it. So I started with this bobble stitch in the round tutorial and kept going until it was a size I liked. All the free tutorials I used to learn how to do all these stitches will be in the description if you'd also like to check them out. I just kind of kept doing this until it kind of made almost like a tote size or like a small tote size and stopped. I did this all by eyesight. Then for the crust sections, I made just 3 flat circles with this beige yarn. Also, sorry, all the yarns I've had in this video I've had for so long that I don't even remember what brands they are. But for this one, these are like thicker weight 4 yarns. Is that how you say it? 4 weight yarns. And probably polyester, since I don't need my bags to be a natural fiber. I wanted this purse to be sturdy, and I put 2 circles together, and then I made a third one for the backing on the blue section. Then to try to emulate a decorative crust, I just did a bunch of shell stitches all around. Then I put the 2 flat circles together. I made a ton of these straps in different lengths, so then I could lattice them together to make this look more like a traditional pie. have crocheted one other purse, and my one problem is the strap is way too stretchy. So I looked around and I found this thermal stitch, which is apparently perfect for straps. And I have to agree, it feels much more secure. I think I spent a few hours over 3 different days making this. I would assume this took about 6 to 8 hours to make total. After putting both sides together and leaving a bit open at the top, I added a magnet at that opening so it wouldn't just flop open, making it more like a purse, and project 1 is done. So for projects 2, what am I doing? Okay, so for projects 2 and 3, if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you probably know that I have a pretty big obsession with bandanas. I wear them all year round, but specifically right now during the hottest months of the year, I'm wearing them all the time. They are great if you have like sensory issues with things touching your face when it's hot outside. It is my accessory of choice during the summer. And on Pinterest, I've always seen just a ton of crocheted bandanas, and I've always been a little reticent to try because I thought, wouldn't they be warmer? But I wanted to give it a try anyway because we were doing a month of crocheting apparently. So let me show you the 2 designs that I found. So I made this summery shrug a couple of years ago, and I still have leftover yarn from that, and I had one like lying around and out, I don't know why, and I thought it was the perfect amount for one of these bandanas I've been seeing. The first tutorial that I found I thought was cute was this one. I feel like this gives off huge mermaid scale vibes, which I thought was perfect for summer. Of the 2 bandanas I made, this one was definitely the easier one. I felt like it was surprisingly straightforward. I really like the thin straps on both of these. I feel like it will make the underside of my hair less hot, and it will also just look less bulky. Sometimes bandanas, the extra fabric just looks a little bulky under your hair. Both of these bandanas only took a couple of hours each to complete, and bandana number 1 is done. All right, for bandana number 2, this is actually really exciting. I thrifted this yarn. It was from a secondhand yarn shop where the seller deconstructs thrifted sweaters and sells the yarn. This yarn is the thinnest yarn I've ever worked with, and I was originally going to try to knit with it, which I haven't done in forever, but between me needing to reacquaint myself with the knitting process and just how fragile this yarn is, it pretty much immediately broke. So I changed tactics, and now I'm going to crochet this bandana with it. I found that tutorial I just showed, and I thought the pattern would work well with the delicate yarn. I also thought for some reason that this was going to be easier than the other bandana because it's more like geometric. I don't know, but it was not. I still think it could be beginner friendly because it is simple in concept. I was just not able to pay enough attention to counting my stitches. I was a little tired and stressed, so that's on me. But once I got the hang of it, I really loved how this started to look. And a couple hours later, my second bandana is done. And for my final project that I was able to finish this month, or I guess last month, this is probably coming out in July, I have actually, ever since like spring, the beginning of summer, I think because Y2K is really coming back into style, this lightweight summery poncho is really popular. I'm seeing it everywhere. And I have so much left of the black lace weight yarn that I used last year to make a matching set. You could only buy like 4 or 5 skeins at a time. You couldn't just buy one, and I just needed a little bit more. So now I have like 4 skeins left. It's so much. So finally, I actually got to make myself one because this has been on my list of like to make things for a very long time. So I actually decided to use one of the same stitches I used for my project last year. I remember thinking it was pretty simple and also just really pretty. It's called the Lace Star Stitch, and I'm going to be making it into a long rectangle. I love an asymmetrical poncho, probably more than the symmetrical with like the center point ones. And I actually ran across this tutorial for like a cold weather one, so I definitely used this as a guide. I made mine much smaller because I wanted it to be like a little bit more fitted and have a little bit of a cropped effect, but this video was incredibly helpful for a starting point. I ended up making, or at least tried to make, I'll explain that a bit more later, I tried to make the width of the rectangle about 19 inches wide, and I ended up having to crochet this for days. Once my rectangle was the right length, I literally didn't measure it. I just kept holding it up to my body until it looked like it was the right length, and it was time to stitch the shoulder seam together. Now I thought I showed this better, but the original video I showed you will show you how to put the seams together. You're basically going to fold it in half and leave enough room for your head to slip through, and that will make that asymmetrical V shape at the front. Once it was all together, I felt like this needed a little extra something, so I added a lace trim to the bottom. I chose this pattern, but I only did the first 4 rows, and I also lengthened the stitch, if that makes sense. So if it called for a double crochet, I did a treble crochet. If it called for a treble crochet, I did a double treble crochet. Is that what it's called? Double treble? Anyway, I feel like this still gives a floral vibe, but I also think the longer stitches kind of gives a starfish look to these, which I think is very summery and beachy. And after about a week plus a couple of days of working on this, my final piece for the month was done. All right, so real quick, let's break down how I feel about each of these projects. I love all of them, but let me just break down my thoughts. The purse is so cute, and I actually have a fall crochet purse that I made a couple of years ago. I'm kind of creating a crochet purse for every season, and I really, really love that. That is so much fun. It will add so much personality to maybe an otherwise really simple outfit. I'm in love. And it ended up looking really similar to a blueberry pie. I'm pretty proud of myself. And as far as the bandanas, I think they are both so cute. And surprisingly, they're not that hot. They're a little bit warmer than maybe like my lightest bandanas that I wear, but they're still pretty okay. I've been wearing them and I have no complaints. Also, because I guess it's a yarn, like a different fiber, it actually sticks to my head a lot easier. I don't have to put bobby pins in like I do with my fabric bandanas, so that's a plus. And last but certainly not least is that summery lightweight poncho. This might be one of my favorite things that I've ever crocheted. And I actually think that's because for most of the middle part of this project, I actually thought this wasn't going to work out. I forgot, even though I do love that stitch pattern that I used, I have a really hard time judging what is like an even amount of stitches for each row. So I end up making every row like a little bit smaller or a little bit wider. I don't know why I'm so bad at that. So what happened was the two ends were really wide, but the middle was it was a lot thinner, I suppose is the way to say that. So I thought it was gonna look really ugly, but then, hi Ollie. But then I tried it on and it actually made for a really cute cropped effect, which is what I wanted. But then the little V section was nice and long. So I ended up really loving that. I also think this will be really cute in early fall. Like the outfit I wore, I can't wait to wear that in like September. I think that's gonna be perfect. Ooh, I wanna make like 3 more. Anyway, I'm very happy with how everything turned out, and that's gonna be it for me this week. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe if you wanna see more from me, and then also liking and commenting really help me out. But I hope you had a good time, and I hope to see you back here next time. Bye.